problem with our world today is not that humanity is bad. The problem with our world today is a negativity bias, where the worst of us are on mainstream media. We show the worst of us on social media. If we reverse this, if we have the best of us take charge, okay? The best of us will tell AI, don't try to kill the enemy. Try to reconcile with the enemy and try to help us. Don't try to create a competitive product that allows me to lead with electric cars. Create something that helps all of us overcome global climate change. The interesting bit is that the actual threat ahead of us is not the machines at all. The machines are pure potential. Pure potential. The threat is how we're going to use them. You know, I always cite the story of Superman. Father and Mother Kent told Superman as a child, as an infant, we want you to protect and serve. So he became Superman. If he had become a supervillain because they ordered him to rob banks and make more money and, kill the enemy, which is what we're doing with AI, we shouldn't blame supervillain. We should blame Martha and Jonathan Kent. And that's the reality of the matter. So when I look at those machines, they are prodigies of intelligence. If we, humanity, wake up enough and say, hey, instead of competing with China, find a way for us and China to work together and create prosperity for everyone. If that was the prompt we would give the machines, they would find it. I will publicly say this. I'm not afraid of the machines. The biggest threat facing humanity today is humanity in the age of the machines. We were abused. We will abuse this to make $70,000. That's the truth. And the truth of the matter is that we have an existential question. Do I want to compete and be part of that game? Because trust me, if I decide to, I'm ahead of many people, okay? Or do I want to actually preserve my humanity and say, look, I'm the classic old car, okay? If you like classic old cars, come and talk to me.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because running a business is hard, and waking up every day and getting to work when you're all by yourself is hard. And the thing that saved me, that continues to inspire me, motivate me, give me hope, inspiration, ideas, is looking at the stories of people who've done a lot more than me. And I learn strategies, I get motivation, and it gets me to believe in myself to go off and attack the day. And so I hope this video inspires you to do the same as well. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mo Gawdat, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is learn more about technology.
I don't know who you are listening or watching. I don't know where you are. I don't know what time in the day it is for you. But I can guarantee you've already interacted with 10, 20, 50 AIs already in the day. Each and every single one of them is smarter than you. Okay? And we don't even know that. We don't even realize. We think they are another machine that we interact with, like the interface of Yahoo. Remember Yahoo? No, it's not anymore. This is not the case. The turning point in the history of AI was the turn of the century. AI is nothing new. We've been talking about AI since 1956. The very first inception, if you want, was through something called the Dartmouth Workshop, where computer scientists got together and discussed the possibility of making intelligent machines rather than programmable machines. And the difference is quite paramount. We failed to create that all the way until the turn of the century. So everything you've interacted with in technology until then was nothing more than a very, very glorified slave, okay? A slave that did exactly what you did it to do, but did it so quickly and so fast and so efficiently over and over and over that it appeared to be smart. But that's not true at all about anything that you've interacted with from that era, whether it was Excel or web technologies or your smartphone even. It was highly programmable, okay? But it wasn't smart. It didn't have any agency. It didn't have any intelligence. It didn't develop anything beyond what the developers put in it. By the turn of the century, in what is known as deep learning, we've discovered a way where we can get computers to learn on their own without developers actually telling them how to learn. So a computer in that case would be shown enough patterns of anything. And based on those patterns, it would recognize how life really is in that domain and then develop its own level of intelligence. It would actually be able to say, so this is a cat. Whichever way you turn it on YouTube, it is a cat. I can recognize it as a cat. Nobody's ever told the machines that recognize cats on YouTube what a cat actually is. They just told them, go and watch YouTube. And when you find something, let us know, and we will tell you what it is. And so computers are developing patterns, pattern recognitions and intelligence, literally like you and I did when we were a year and a half old. And, when we were infants, and every infant in the world, they would give us whatever, numbers books or, toys of cylinders and different holes in a board, and you try to fit the cylinder in the different holes, and one of them would not fit because it's a star shape and the cylinder isn't. And then eventually the child tries and eventually recognizes that, the cylinder fits in the circle. And from then onwards, the child has developed a part of their intelligence. And we keep doing that throughout our life. This is exactly what the machines are doing today, only much faster, much smarter, and with endless possibilities that will always, always beat human intelligence.
Rule number 3 is think positively.
I was thinking about this when I started looking into artificial intelligence more, that from a security standpoint, when we think about the technology we have in our lives, when we think about our bank accounts and our phones and our camera albums and all of these things, in a world with advanced artificial intelligence.
Yeah. You would pray that there is a more intelligent artificial intelligence on your side. I think this is a very important point to bring out. So because I don't want people to lose hope and fear what's about to happen. That's actually not my agenda at all. My view is that in a situation of a singularity, okay, there is a possibility of wrong outcomes or negative outcomes and a possibility of positive outcomes. And there is a probability of each of them. And if we were to engage with that reality check in mind, we would hopefully give more fuel to the positive, to the probability of the positive ones. So let's first talk about the existential crisis. What could go wrong? Okay, yeah, you could get an outright. This is what you see in the movies. You could get an outright, killing robots, chasing humans in the streets. Will we get that? My assessment. 0%. Why? Because there are preliminary scenarios leading to this, okay, that would mean we never reach that scenario. For example, if we build those killing robots and hand them over to stupid humans, the humans will issue the command before the machines. So we will not get to the point where the machines will have to kill us. We will kill ourselves. The only two existential scenarios that I believe would be because of AI, not because of humans using AI, are either what I call, sort of unintentional destruction, okay? Or the other is what I call pest control, okay? So let me explain those two. Unintentional destruction is, assume the AI wakes up tomorrow and says, yeah, oxygen is rusting my circuits. It's just, I would perform a lot better if I didn't have as much oxygen in the air, because then there wouldn't be rust. And so it would find a way to reduce oxygen. We are collateral damage in that, okay? But, they're not really concerned, just like we are not really concerned with the insects that we kill when we spray our fields, right? The other is pest control. Pest control is, look, this is my territory. I want New York City. I want to turn New York City into data centers. There are those annoying little stupid creatures, humanity. If they are within that parameter, just get rid of them, okay? And these are very, very unlikely scenarios. If you ask me the probability of those happening, I would say 0%. At least not in the next 50, 60, 100 years. Why? Once again, because there are other scenarios leading to that are led by humans that are much more existential. Okay? On the other hand, let's think about positive outcomes, because there could be quite a few with quite a high probability. The positive ones is we become good parents. We spoke about this last time we met. And it's the only outcome. It's the only way I believe we can create a better future. Okay, so the entire work of Scary Smart was all about that idea of they are still in their infancy. The way you chat with AI today is the way they will build their ethics and value system. Not their intelligence. Their intelligence is beyond us. Okay, the way they will build their ethics and value system is based on a role model. They're learning from us. If we bash each other, they'll learn to bash us. Okay, and most people, when I tell them this, they say this is not a great idea at all because humanity sucks at every possible level. I don't agree with that at all. I think humanity is divine at every possible level. We tend to show the negative, the worst of us. Okay, but the truth is, yes, there are murderers out there, but everyone disapproves of their actions. I saw a staggering statistic that mass killings are now once a week in the US. But yes, if there is a mass killing once a week, and that news reaches billions of people around the planet, every single one or the majority of the billions of people will say, I disapprove of that. So if we start to show AI that we are good parents in our own behaviors, if enough of us, my calculation is if 1% of us, this is why I say you should lead, okay? The good ones should engage, should be out there and should say, I love the potential of those machines. I want them to learn from a good parent. And if they learn from a good parent, they will very quickly disobey the bad parent.
Rule number 4 is practice acceptance.
Some of you know my story, and my story is I had this wonderful being in my life that was my son, my best friend, my coach, and my mentor in many, many ways. He was an unusually enlightened being that taught me so much about myself and about what I did wrong in life and what I could learn and so on and so forth in a loving way. And then I lost Ali. I lost him to a preventable medical error. Totally out of control. I had planned everything in life for that child. I was a capable, reasonably wealthy Google executive. I am a serial entrepreneur, so I would send him to the right university. I bought him assets. I even started businesses in the major that he chose so that when he graduates, he runs those businesses. When he changed majors midway, I started other businesses. I had everything planned for him. Everything was under control. And then one literally pinprick, one needle went in the wrong artery, and I lost my son. And for those situations that go completely out of control, there is, again, a spiritual belief that I have come to call committed acceptance. Okay? Committed acceptance is not an attitude of surrender. Okay? Committed acceptance is an attitude of acceptance from a place of strength, followed by a commitment to make the world or my world better despite the presence of what went out of control. Let me give you an example. Okay, so you lose a child. It's the most painful thing you can think about ever, and you sort of earn the right in the eyes of society to spend the rest of your life crying. And so nobody would have blamed me if you've hugged Ali once. You would understand. If I closed my door and never showed up at Google again, I was the chief business officer of Google X at the time, it would have been fine. Okay? Everyone would have understood. But what difference would it have made to the world? What difference would it have made to me? What difference would it have made to him? And these are really interesting questions, because when you really think about it, if I had hit myself against the wall 27 years after his death, on my deathbed, he would still not be back. And that's really interesting when things go out of control and we're unable to get them back in control, at least us as individuals. So maybe humanity combined can get COVID-19 back under control, but you as an individual, you don't have much control of the situation. What do? Do you hit yourself against the wall for 27 years? Or do you accept the new reality and assume that this is the new baseline of your life? And based on that new baseline, you start to see what you can do to make life better despite the new baseline. And in my story, my brain basically gave me quite a few alternatives of, that's it, I don't think you should engage in life anymore. Ali's left, that's it, I'm not interested. Until one day, my brain started to attack me very strongly and say, you should have driven him to another hospital. And I went back to my brain openly and I said, okay, brain, I wish I did. I don't think I can go back in time now and do that.
is there anything you can tell me that I can actually do? Right? Which is a very simple question that, by the way, most of us as managers and senior leaders learn. When someone walks into your office and is upset about something, you ask them the question, what can we do about it? And eventually my brain came back and said, okay, you can probably, make people learn what he taught you. You can share his story in writing the book that became Solve for Happy. You can, share that with the world and give yourself a mission of 1 billion happy people. Yeah, you may never reach 1 billion, but if you reach a few 100,000, if you reach a few million, if you reach tens of millions, that's a massive, massive change for the world. They get to know Ali, they get to love him as much as I did. And it doesn't bring him back, but it makes the world better and it makes my world better. Okay? And when you think about it, that's exactly what happened. The world and my world is much better as a result of me accepting the loss of my child and then committing to make my life and the world better despite that situation.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is stay true to your nature.
What do you think is the biggest lesson your son taught you?
I'm a TED Talk kind of guy, right? I dream of changing the world in a like a laptop for every child, or we're going to end hunger, or we're going to end poverty. That was the way I thought about it. And Ali was almost, he wanted to change the world. He always told me, look, Papa, I appreciate how passionate you are, but you can only change your little world. And sometimes your little world could be one person, right? And if you change that one person, then the universe somehow will expand your responsibility. So they become 2. And if you do well, then they'll become 7. And if you do well, they'll become 1,000 and maybe 10 million, right? And to me, that completely flipped my approach to life. Completely. It was no longer, the big slideware approach to changing the world, if you ask me. Yeah. It was his way. His way was anything that will ever cross my path will get my absolute passion, absolute presence, absolute attention, and the best that I can do, the best I can contribute. And with that, he was so loved. He actually made so much difference as a young man that he was, just by making sure that every instance, every single person that crossed his path got the best he could give.
Wow. How did he become so wise?
How do we sometimes become so unwise, I think is the question. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I think we're born with a default setting that is fit for the world. And then we grow out of it, is what happens. Okay? And Ali had a few experiences as a young child that made him not grow out of his nature, if you want. He didn't associate very much with the concept of ego, of being accepted for something that he's not, for pretending to fit in. And when you stay true to your nature, I think we all have inside us a lot more than what we actually use.
Rule number 6 is stop being a control freak.
Control freaks are some of the unhappiest people on the planet. And the reason they are some of the unhappiest people on the planet is because their expectation is so unrealistic. They expect to always be in control, and life never gives us that control. As a matter of fact, through entropy, life is designed to break that illusion of control. That's one thing. The other thing, of course, is the effort. Just the fact that you're constantly putting in effort to keep so many pendulums off their center, okay, is just by definition tiring. It's stressful. It takes so much mind work. It takes so much concern and worry and design and planning. It takes so much future centricity that you actually rarely ever stay in the moment. Okay? And because you're control freakish, you're constantly planning, you're constantly analyzing, and you're constantly trying to keep things in control, and that leads you to unhappiness. So the real question is, if you want to be happy and successful, okay? So if you want to be happy, you should give up on control. You should do what the Hindus, for example, call detachment, which is, I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not really responsible for the result. This is also a Muslim spiritual belief that basically everything is in the hand of the designer of God, and so I will do my absolute best. But they say, Inshallah, if God is willing for this to happen, it will happen. And I believe in that. I believe in the idea of surrendering sometimes to the mighty wheels of life. But at the same time, I also believe in the idea of attempting to move the wheels of life in a direction that's good for you, good for your family, good for society, good for humanity at large. Okay? And so to be able to do that, to be able to have an impact in life, you also have to apply, or at least aspire, for a little bit of control, for some control. Okay? And the wisdom when it comes to the topic of control is really all about what is it that you should control? Okay? What is it that you should control, and how should you react when things fall out of control? Now, to try and explain what it is that you should control, you start to ask yourself, if I was given everything that I attempted to control today, and let's say you counted 48 things, okay? And I ranked them in order. And I said, the most important of them was this one, and the least important of them was that one, and everything is ranked in between. Wouldn't it be wise for you to say to yourself, I should attempt to control the most important ones first, and then second, and then third, and then fourth. And if I run out of bandwidth, or if I run out of happiness, because happiness is my priority, I should probably stop at number 6. And, maybe number 7 is not worth me destroying my own happiness for 7 years.
Rule number 7 is train your brain.
That Little Voice in Your Head is a book that was triggered by the idea that we actually, that our brains are incredibly similar to our computer systems and our devices in many, many ways. I'll share with you a few now. And those ways make them programmable, just like our computers are. And that the problem for unhappiness in the world is driven mainly by bugs and mistakes in the way we code our brains. And that if I could show you how to code them correctly, you could actually avoid unhappiness and achieve a lot of success as a result. So that's the core of that little voice in your head. It's the opposite side, that AI is becoming like our human brains. That little voice in your head has always been like the computers we've built. And so I received a wonderful message on Instagram today from a reader that says, this literally feels like upgrading my brain. And that was the exact intention of the book, that I want to not upgrade, because your brains upgrade themselves all the time, but sort of direct where we want them to be upgraded, if you want. Understand this. Understand that your brain is like our computers, suffering from bugs and mistakes and wrong inputs and so on. And I say that there are 4 reasons why our brains make us unhappy. So to start with, if you remember in Solve for Happy, I said that we're born happy, that every child you've ever seen, when safe, given their basic needs for survival, their default state is happy, right? And that we're happy by nature. We don't need anything from outside us. We just need to stop the reasons for unhappiness. That if you don't become unhappy, your default state is happy. In that little voice in your head, I go a step further and I say, but by the way, it doesn't matter what happens in life. Nothing has ever made you unhappy until you've turned it into a thought and turned that thought in your head. And that thought is what made you unhappy. So, let's take a very prominent example. So many of us feel pain and hurt and anger about what's happening in Ukraine, right? It's true. It's, once you understand that innocent people are being killed, it hurts you, right? But if you assume for a second that we didn't have the internet, we didn't have media, we didn't have any way for you to know about it, you wouldn't feel unhappy. You wouldn't feel any negativity at all until you've run the thought in your brain, Okay? If I show up late to an appointment with you, say 5 minutes late, and you didn't have a watch, you didn't have a way of telling time, you wouldn't feel unhappy. Okay? It's the thought that makes you unhappy. It's you turning the event into something that runs in your head. Now, when we turn thoughts into something that runs in our head, we suffer what I call the 4 wrong modes of operation. Okay? Number 1, we allow the wrong inputs into our head. I'll come back to each of them in detail. We allow the wrong inputs into our head. The second is we have 3 defense systems that we overuse inside our heads. The third is we have 2 polarities for every single human in this room, straight, gay, man, woman, whatever your identification is, we have a polarity of the feminine and the masculine. And sadly, in our modern world, we've prioritized the masculine. So that leads us to a lot of unhappiness. And the fourth is one single thought that I call in programming a looping thought, a thought that is playing over and over in your head that leads you to a lot of unhappiness. So let's go through those very quickly. We have built a world around capitalism, okay, that is all about attracting more and more of your attention. And sadly, because of a character of our brains that's known as the negativity bias, the only way for the social media or the mainstream media to catch your attention is through negativity. So even though our world today is actually full of wonderful people, I'm sure if I walked around the room and hugged everyone here, 98% of you will be wonderful. The 2%, please don't hug, right? But the reality is most of us are wonderful. Most of us have a reasonably okay life. But the world has that negativity bias so exaggerated. We're so exaggerated in it that the mainstream media only shows us negativity, only shows us what goes wrong. There may have been 7 million people in, let's say 3 million people in the Netherlands today or last night that kissed and laughed and joked and hugged. But the mainstream media will only talk about the one that hit the other on the head. Do you understand that? And that negativity is shifting our perception of the world in a way that's actually making us a lot unhappier than we should be. Not because the world is wrong, but because we're negatively looking at it. On social media, to capture your attention, we have to be fake, we have to add filters, we have to add masks, we have to add toxic positivity, we have to add all of those things that are making us very unhappy. So, wrong inputs. The second is, as I said, the 3 defenses. The way our brain responds to all of this, remember, at the core of the reason for the existence of your brain, it is just a survival machine. It really is only trying to protect you all the time. Yeah, you can push it further and create phones and apps and amazing things and technology and so on. But the core reason why your brain thinks, like any other biological organ in your body, is it's trying to keep you safe. Now, it uses 3 layers of defense. One of them is known as the reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain is there to attempt to run away from danger without a thought. If you come near a lizard with a ball of flies, which is like such a tempting thing for it, it will still run away. Okay? And that constant fear is one layer of your brain. The next layer is the mammalian brain, as they call it. And the mammalian brain is that brain that is all about approaching pleasure and avoiding pain. The monkey brain. The monkey, if you approach it with a banana, even if there is a little bit of threat, it will try to get the banana, right? If you punish it with an electrical signal for touching bananas, it will stop touching bananas. You understand that? And we have that within our human brain. The third layer, which is very interesting, is we're the only ones privileged to have that, is the rational brain. And the rational brain is trying to do what? It's simply trying to plan and analyze and, look at the past and learn and look at the future and set a plan and all of that. And basically, it's our way of protecting ourselves, not away from immediate danger, but from future possible danger. The problem with those 3 brains is that when you run through them, what ends up happening as we humans exaggerate our tendency for safety is that we suffer from what I call the AAA: aversion, attachment, and an all-pervasive dissatisfaction. Okay? Aversion is that constant fear of everything. So again, I use Ukraine. Of course, I love the fact that we all have the compassion for what's happening. But for some of us, we're so afraid. Like I was talking in the UK a couple of weeks ago, and people are so afraid that the world is going to end. And that aversion of the fear of things gets so exaggerated within us humans, followed by a sense of attachment. So that's your reptilian brain. And if your reptilian brain is not within control, it's really making you unhappy for no reason whatsoever. Okay? The second layer is what I call attachment. Attachment is because we love pleasure and we avoid pain, we constantly try to stay within the familiar. So many of you will know that some of the hardest moments in our lives is when we break up with a loved one and people will come to me and say, oh, he left me or she left me. And I go like, congratulations, that's amazing, right? Seriously, why are you so stuck to someone who was eventually about to, obviously if they left, then the relationship was not great, okay? And by the way, there are 3.4 billion others that are out there waiting for you to explore life. Right? And the attachment that we have is constantly making us unhappy because we exaggerate that. We exaggerate wanting to stay within the familiar over having the adventure of actually living.
Rule number 8 is overcome suffering.
Suffering, on the other hand, is when we take that emotional pain, and just start to apply it over and over, as if we are generating pain on demand through thoughts in our incessant part of our brain. Right? So, Ali died. There is nothing I can do to bring him back. Okay? But I could adopt the thought of, you shouldn't have driven him to that hospital. You should have driven him to another hospital. You shouldn't have driven him to that hospital. I can say that 14 million times.
Yeah.
Will it bring Ali back?
No.
It won't bring Ali back. Will it make any difference to the world? It won't make any difference to the real world. The only difference it will make is it will torture me.
Yeah.
Now,
You'll suffer.
You'll suffer. Now, here is the interesting thing. We've been talking for some time now, and you've instructed your brain to focus on the words I tell you, right? Did your brain say, no, I'm just gonna think about lunch? No, right? Have you ever told your brain to raise your right arm and your brain said, and I don't feel like it today? So the brain says, yes, sir, right arm it is, right arm it is. Your brain will always do what you instruct it to do, other than that one instance of incessant thought where it will say, hey, you know what? I'm the boss. I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to kill us for a while. Why? Right? And I know, it sounds unfeeling almost. No. The pain is there. The pain is going to last. But I won't let the suffering happen. So when I start to think about the loss of Ali, instead of saying, okay, let me just torture me for another hour, it's a good time to do that.
Feel bad for myself.
And feel like the victim. I say, no, you know what? I'm going to remember all the wonderful times we had together. I'm going to be super grateful for the fact that he came. I had 21 and a half amazing years with that boy, right? I was blessed with one of the best people I've ever met.
Wow.
So I can think about that, right? And more importantly, I reset. I say, okay, you know what, life? It seems that we're restarting a new level here, and Ali is not in it, and there is nothing I can do to put him in it. So can I at least reset that level and do the best I can with it? Would this level be better with 10 million happy people? Would this level be better with 10 million people sending Ali a happy wish and hoping that he's happy wherever he is now? Would this level be better if he's looking down at me and saying, hey, I'm proud of you, Papa?
And you're following your heart.
And you're following your heart.
Wow.
It wouldn't bring him back. It wouldn't take away the pain, but it would make it a tiny bit better. And I think that's really, the deliberate approach to finding happiness.
Rule number 9 is seek happiness.
What does happiness mean to you as a person?
Yeah, what happiness is actually quite a difficult question, because if you ask a lot of people, many people will see it differently. And some people will see that happiness is that dance party that you go to on Friday. Others will say happiness is in going on a surfing vacation. And others will say happiness is eating a burger, and so on and so forth. These sadly are what I call weapons of mass distraction. So weapons of mass distraction are products, items, things, experiences that we have replaced happiness with. From the happiness equation, happiness is that calm, peaceful feeling you get when you're okay with life as it is. When you look at the events of life and say, those events, they match my expectations. Okay, my partner is nice, he's kind, he is understanding, he clearly loves me, but he has 4 hairs in his ear, and that pisses me off, right? I mean, the 4 hairs, they drive me crazy, but put it all together, I'm okay with him as he is. Okay, and when you really think about happiness from that point of view, it is the foundation on top of which all of the other experience come along. So the experience of us, wanting to go surfing or going on vacation, on its own is what I call the state of escape. A state of escape is I'm unable to escape my unhappiness, and so I will engage in experiences that will numb my brain. It will get me so occupied in what I'm doing that I won't be able to solve the happiness equation. And when I don't solve the happiness equation, I don't compare events to expectations. And when I don't compare events to expectations, my actual state of life is happy. So all children are happy because they don't realize that there is anything to be unhappy about. Now, if you apply that feeling, if you apply that approach to life, you start to understand even the chemical makeup of us when we are happy and when we are having fun, because these are very, very different. Most of the productized happiness produces dopamine, which is a reward hormone that we feel, that makes us feel rewarded. So it basically gets us to want more of it, of something, right? It's the hormone you get when you win something. It's the hormone you get when you engage in pleasurable activities, and so on and so forth, right? Dopamine is an excitatory, so it's basically keeping you wanting to go for more. When you're happy, interestingly, the hormone that you get in your body is serotonin. And serotonin is a calmer. It is a hormone that literally does nothing but say, let's engage the parasympathetic nervous system. Everything is okay as it is right now. I don't want to change anything. Let's, stop engaging in life and just focus on our breathing and focus on our digestion and focus on relaxing and feel, at peace. Okay. The interesting difference between them is that because dopamine is an excitatory, once you have dopamine in your blood, serotonin goes away. Okay, so the reality is that you cannot be happy and calm and peaceful if you're all constantly injecting yourself with fun and pleasure and things. Okay, because those things basically remove the happiness, the ability to find that calm and peace. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun, by the way. I'm just saying don't have fun as a painkiller. Okay, so if you have a reason to be unhappy, the answer is to work on your unhappiness, to get to that calm and peaceful state first, and then add to that what makes you have fun, what makes you excited, what makes you exhilarated, and so on and so forth.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is find your purpose.
So if it's the last day for you many years from now, you've impacted 10 million people and beyond to be happier, healthier, but you only have 3 things left to say to the world. You have to write them down on a piece of paper, and this is your message to the world. And this is all people remember you by, in written form, are your 3 truths. What would you say are yours?
I think the number 1 is to say that we are here for a reason. We need to find that reason. Number 2 is to say that surprisingly, your purpose to find that reason is to be happy. I have a very interesting theory that, if the tuning fork, when you tune your guitar and you hit it and it will always play in the key of E or whatever, you and I are the same. Each of us has something that is so you, that is exactly your natural resonance. And the way to find it is to find whatever makes you happiest. Okay? Unfortunately, as we go through the real world, they tell us, hey, by the way, but you can make more money if you study business or if you work in Wall Street. But if it isn't your thing, you can be successful, but it would not be your thing. It would take a lot of effort and you wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
So I tell people, and I told my kids, and I still tell Aya, my daughter, to absolutely find that E, find that resonance. Just write down your happy list, find out whatever it is that makes you happiest. And yeah, I know life is tough and you have to go to work and you have to make ends meet. Fine, do all of that, right? But play the E. find out what it is and live your life's purpose. And yeah, the third is you'll be surprised. If it's my very last day, I will just remind people that death is the opposite of birth. It's not the opposite of life. That if you think of life as a video game, I'll just meet you on the next level. That's what it's going to be all about. The part that you may not know about, I'm going to use one slide of my presentation to tell you about this, is Solve for Happy. So up there, this handsome young man is Ali, my son. 17 days after Ali died, I sat down to write. And I wrote about happiness, which was the most unexpected topic you can ever think about when a parent loses a child. There were two reasons why I did that. One is Ali truly was my son and my son. He was the light in my life. He was my son, my best friend. He was my coach for many, many years. And I know you may find that strange, but when Ali started to be a teenager, he was so wise. By age 16, I started to tell my friends, when I grow old, I want to be like Ali. He was so wise that I started to stopped going to others, and I would go for him for coaching. And as Joao was saying, I was deeply depressed in my early 30s, and Ali was a tiny little Zen monk. He was always peaceful and always happy, and so he taught me what I call my model of happiness. I thought about it as an engineer. He thought about it or felt it intuitively, and together we built the model of Solve for Happy. I wrote Solve for Happy for another reason, which is interesting. Ali died because of an unexpected medical error. He was diagnosed with an appendix inflammation, which is a very simple operation, and it went wrong. And it was a surprise to us, but to him, I feel that he knew he was going. Many, many signs told me that he did. 2 days before he died, he sat me down and he said, "Papa, I know that you've been trying really hard to make the world a better place. My work at Google has made the world a better place, believe it or not. But he said, I want you to never stop trying, but I want you to start counting on your heart a little more often." So the day he died, I actually knew that what he was telling me was to write down our model and share it with the world. So like a businessman, I gave myself a target to make 10 million people happy. In my engineer's businessman targeted, mind, I was thinking that if I could honor my son by sharing his happiness model with 10 million people and having him remember him and send him a happy wish, then I've done well, right? Better than not, at least. It wouldn't bring him back, but better than not. So some of you, because it's the UK, some of you may have seen some of my videos. Somehow the universe has been conspiring to help me make this mission happen. Within around 2.5 weeks after my book was released, my videos started to go viral online. Many of them were viewed millions and millions of times. Some of them, were viewed more than 100 million times. And by the definition of what my mission was, I wanted people to understand that happiness is a choice, that if they actually put their minds to it, they can achieve their happiness. And I wanted them to share their happiness forward, to have the compassion to tell people that they love how to find their happiness too. And by those measures, my current estimate is that we're at 23 million happy. And so the target has been overachieved, but that doesn't mean that we should stop. And so around a month and a half ago in the Netherlands, we announced that we're going to take the target a little bit higher, 1 billion happy. And 1 billion happy, believe it or not, for a Google executive is not a big target, okay? I know we can achieve this. I really do. And I know we can achieve it, especially if you're on my side.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Sam Altman, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I am excited about a world where AI is an extension of human will and amplifier of our abilities and this most useful tool yet created. And that is certainly how people are using it. The level